So, this is the question for everybody today, following what happened in Orlando yesterday. One of the craziest stories I've ever heard, and it's starting to sound more and more believable. Has ISIS infiltrated Homeland Security? Orlando terrorist worked for major DHS contractor. Now, let me start by saying something that's been kind of troubling me for a while now. Our supposed closest ally in the Middle East, Israel. Saw some articles several months back where there were several people saying not to buy into anything going on with Israel because they claimed that massive parts of their government had been taken over by ISIS and terrorist sympathizers and people who were actually part of the organization. Didn't hear too many people talking about it then. I always found that kind of strange. Now, I think by now a lot of you have heard that this guy worked for G4S Securities, right? If you haven't, go watch my last video or any of the dozens of others out there to hear all the information. I won't cover it again, but check this out. The Orlando nightclub terrorist who pledged allegiance to ISIS worked almost a decade for a major Department of Homeland Security contractor, raising alarms that ISIS sympathizers and agents have infiltrated the federal agency set up after 9/11 to combat terrorists. And they also say this guy held 2 firearms licenses and a security officer license and was employed by the security firm since September 10th, 2007. Kind of interesting that it's the day before 9/11 that this guy got hired. Even more interesting here is this G4S Solutions merged with a company called Whacking Hub after 9/11 to assume federal contracts, right? So we all know the story with 9/11. This is basically when all of this stuff basically started. And that's basically when this company he worked for started taking contracts for the government. And it says right here that this company supports the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Customs, Border Protection, with its operations at the U.S.-Mexico border, and with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known to some of you as ICE, transporting illegal immigrants in selected areas. We've all heard about the secret immigration movements going on. A lot of these videos that have popped up, as we all know, have taken place where? In Florida. Now, I think we've all had a lot of people have had some suspicions for a while of our president and his involvement in his whole thing, and if he's, in fact, somebody who may have infiltrated our government. Now, obviously, if that is true, that's a pretty big deal. I know there's a lot of people who think that he is. I have some pretty serious concerns about him for a long time. But it never really occurred to me to think about all the other organizations throughout the country that could have been infiltrated by ISIS or whoever these elite people pushing their agenda have all these people in place all throughout the government. It never occurred to me how big of a mass scale that it could possibly be that our government was infiltrated with these people. But the fact that this man was on the terror watch list for 5 years, buying firearms legally, right? Worked for the security company that had contracts with ties to various agencies and projects in the government, is the same dude who went and shot up this club. If we can't even keep track of our own guys who are working for the government, I mean, How are we going to keep track of immigrants? But if we're completely infiltrated with all these people who've already taken over a lot of these spots, I guess it's all a moot point, right? I don't know. But once again, as you see here, all of this stuff ties back to 9/11. Pretty damn interesting. Pretty damn interesting. So that's it. That's the story. So I'll ask you guys. You can answer in the comments. You can just share this around and see what you think. But what do you think? Has our government been infiltrated? Are we pretty much on par with what people were saying about Israel a few months ago, that we're getting taken over by the people who are putting this agenda into play? I think everybody knew what was going on with the president. I'm sure everybody had their suspicions about Hillary, some of the crazy stuff she's pulled. But have you really went to consider all of the other people that might be in there, all involved in the same whole thing? I don't know. It never really occurred to me as a real possibility till now. So let me know what you think, guys. I gotta go. Y'all take care. Leave me your comments. I'll talk to y'all soon.